Okay, good evening, everybody. I hope that you can hear me okay. Thank you for coming along. Just to introduce myself, my name is Professor George Lewis, and I'm here for the History Digital Open Day. If you can see me down in the corner of your screen, you may also be able to see we have one of our students with a second one coming, Fraser Barry. Can you wave now, Fraser?
Hi guys, how are we?
And just to say, so I'm going to talk to you a bit about the degree programme now for probably about 25-30 minutes, and then after I've spoken to you, then Fraser and also Christopher will be able to tell you from their student perspective what it's like to be a student of history here. And just to say, there'll be a Q&A at the end, so any questions that you have, we'll get round to answering. But also do, at any time you want to, put a question in the chat, and we'll make sure that we come out and check everything in the chat towards the end and answer any questions you've got. Okay, so I hope that's clear. What I want to do is just explain a little bit about me and about our school and what you would be able to do if you studied history here, and why we would encourage you to do that. So I am, as you can see from the screen, a professor of American history. I also, before I took on this role as lead of history admissions, I served as the head of school. Here we have a School of History, Politics and International Relations, which we call HIPER. And I was head of school for 5 years, from 2016 right through the pandemic. And just from the off, I don't say that in any way to try to impress you, not least because I suspect it won't impress you in any way, but rather as a way of trying to explain our ethos here at the school in Leicester and how we teach. Because all of us here, me as a professor, me when I was head of school or otherwise, we are all deeply engaged with teaching our undergraduate students and trying to ensure that our school remains engaging, intellectually stimulating, and also a friendly and collegial place in which to work and study. And as you may or may not know, any academic's job, myself included, involves a mix of research, publishing, teaching, teaching support, teaching from our research, and also citizenship roles. So I'm here in my citizenship role as the admissions lead for our history degrees. And that's important to us because you'll find that at some universities, those who are in professorial roles or leadership roles don't get engaged with the student undergraduate programme, and you will rarely if ever see them if you're an undergrad. But at Leicester, I speak for all of my colleagues here when I say just how important, essential, a fact, we find teaching as part of our everyday working lives. Also, full disclosure, I sit here on this side of you as the father of children who are going through exactly what you are going through now. I have 18-year-old twin daughters. Just to make life more interesting still, one of them decided to take a gap year. So one went through this process that you're going through now last year. One of them is doing it this year. And so I've been through open days myself last year on your side of the screen, and also I'm doing it again this year. Now that means a number of different things. First of all, as you can imagine, it means that I've experienced lots of open days and open day presentations myself, but as a parent and with an applicant beside me rather than as an academic. I've also come to learn firsthand how different human beings make decisions on often very different bases and widely different rationales. And so I know that for some of you, the decisions that you make about university will be down to very fine details of particular courses on offer. For some of you, it may be things like this university is too far from home. It may be this university is not far enough from home, depending on what you would like to experience. For some of you, it'll just be down to what our daughters referred to and insisted on calling the vibe of the place that they were looking at. That's to say, I think that for all of you, well, for some of you, it'll be a very swift experience as you choose your university. And for others, it can seem a really complex, it may even seem a little bit of a daunting experience trying to work out where you want to go and what you want to read. So we're here to try and help, me first, but also Fraser and Christopher afterwards. And I'll do that by giving you this brief overview. And what I want to do is we will whiz through some slides here because, as I've just said, many of you will be coming here with many different questions and looking at this process from different angles. So if there are any particular points you want to come back to, do place that in the chat or ask us at the end. I do want to give Fraser and Christopher a voice, because you don't just want to get the feel of the place from me who works here. It's really important, I think, that you also hear from our students who are actually here. OK, before we get on to that, one more thing which may here in early September appear quite trivial, but which for many of you may become much more vital. It's very important to us. And as our daughters found in their search for a university, surprisingly rare that you have a means of contacting us directly as the academics who are running the process of admissions to history and to all our different joint degrees in history. And in many places now, you'll find that there's a central admissions address, and you're not able to speak directly to those at the coalface of delivery. So if you have any questions after this, if you suddenly think of something in the middle of the night that you wish you'd asked but you don't have the chance to, then do get in touch with me directly. As I said earlier, our school is called Hyper, Hypir. If you email hyperadmissions, all one word, all lowercase, hyperadmissions@leicester.le.ac.uk, then that will come directly to me, and you can ask any question you like, and I will get back to you on that. I also to go back, my name is George Lewis. My details are on the webpage. You can email me directly through my university email address, the ever catchy GDGL1, which doesn't really lend itself to being written down, but GDGL1 again at leicester.ac.uk, and I'll get back to you directly. OK, so a bit of an overview, a little bit about campus life, then more detail on studying history itself. You may or may not have visited the university. You may be interested to know that we were the only university in the world that was founded as a memorial to the First World War. We were founded in 1921 for that purpose. We are an award-winning university at the moment. One of the national newspapers has made us their University of the Year in 2025. We've been shortlisted this year as the University of the Year by various trade bodies. The Times Higher is a kind of trade body for the university sector. We've also been rated gold, which is excellent, in the Teaching Excellence Framework, which the government runs, and also have a really high NSS response. Those may feed into some of the decisions that you'll be making about university, and I'll come back to why they're important or not in a while. In talking about award-winning, we also have an award-winning students' union, which is somewhere where you would spend a lot of time. There's an image of it here up on the screen, where we have over 100 societies that you could have a look at and join if you would like to. We have a campus that's very close to the city centre. You can actually walk. I bicycle, but you can walk or bicycle into the city centre in no time. We're continually investing into the campus to make it, to improve it all the time. And again, the image on your screen here is of the university library, which is open 24/7 in term time, and you can book rooms to study in the library itself. I'm aware that some of you will know the city, some of you may not know the city, but it's a very manageable place. It's also a hugely diverse and exciting city to live in. Lots of festivals going on. It seems almost constantly, fireworks all over the place. It's also very diverse and inclusive, with the biggest Diwali festival outside India, but also successful sports. I think I can say that after last night, somebody told me, and also a great, vibrant cultural sector. I'm going to come back to student support, where it's particular to history a little bit later on, but there are all sorts, as you could imagine, of student support networks that we would advise you to take up, and your personal tutor, which I'll come back to, will help you navigate through those as you start as an undergraduate. The accommodation, again, I would really recommend that you come and have a look at the accommodation if you're interested in the course here. There's in-city accommodation, which you should be able to see on your left of the screen here, which is new build and very close to the teaching campus. But if you prefer a little bit more space, then there's the suburban village, which you can see top right on your screen, which is a free shuttle bus ride away from the campus itself, with its own sports facilities, etc. Scholarships available. So again, you can look at that email address, which is on the bottom of that slide, to see if you are able to apply to any of those scholarships. Please do if you're available to. But let's have a look at history now in a little bit more detail. Why study history? Well, I think I would because it's my job, but I hope that Fraser and Christopher will back me up on this when we talk to them towards the end. It's fascinating. I'm guessing that you're interested in doing it at university because you're interested in history at school level, or also in your wider reading and watching of things. But it also trains you. So one of the things a history degree will give you is training for important abilities and skills, transferable skills. And also, of course, it offers you an intellectual challenge. Now, you know as well as I do how complex the world is at the present time. History is a really good way of trying to understand what's going on about us. Now, one of the things that I referred to at the start was the very different factors that you'll all be using to try and weigh up whether or not you want to study history, and if so, whether or not you think that Leicester is the right place for you. One of the things you've probably heard about is this thing called the Russell Group. And I'm just going to show you a couple of slides. I don't want to dwell on these, but you've probably heard an awful lot about the Russell Group, which calls itself and also spends a huge amount of money promoting itself as offering an elite education. So I'm just going to run these two slides past you. One is where Leicester sits compared to other Russell Group universities in the Sunday Times league table from 2025, when we're 10th and above all of those other universities, and also the one from the Guardian where we're 12th and still rank higher than those Russell Group universities. It may be a factor in how you make your decision, but all I would ask at this stage is that when you're thinking about those different factors, do make sure that you base your thought process on the data that is available, and that you see that there are these variables in how different universities rank. And in terms of our reputation, history came second in the government's Research Excellence Framework, which judges the research that we do as history academics and the research that we teach from on our courses. That's not just second in the East Midlands, it's not second in the Midlands, that's second in the UK. So we were the second highest ranked history department in the United Kingdom in 2021. And you can see also that we're consistently ranked very highly in the league tables, 10th and 12th in those two that are up on your screen there. Now, we run a lot of different possible options of history studying here at Leicester, because what we want to do is tailor our offer as closely as possible to the interest that you already have. So many of you may be interested in the single honours history course, that's V100. But note too that we also run a modern and contemporary history. So if you are more interested in modern history, as it says on the tin, I guess, contemporary history, but also the ability to take some politics courses as part of your history degree, then do have a look at that V140 degree. But also know that you can study history 50-50 with another subject as part of a joint degree course. And we offer those on History American Studies, History Ancient History, History Archaeology, all those different options, international relations, politics, etc. So do make sure that you try and find the joint honours degree that best suits your interests. Again, if you have any questions about that, we can ask those. We can answer those towards the end, or you can email later on. So our history course here covers huge number of themes, time periods and geographical locations. We're one of the few history departments in the UK that starts back in the Anglo-Saxon period and runs all the way. As an Americanist, I've taught on Barack Obama, so we come right into the 21st century. So huge sweep of time period and also geographical locations where we have a historian of China, of the global south, and we look at Europe, Southeast Asia, Britain and the Americas. As I said earlier, you can tailor your joint degree to reflect your own particular interests. So if you like ancient history, for example, you can study that alongside history, or even archaeology if you like digging. As part of your history degree, you can also transfer once you arrive to a 4-year degree, and you can spend your 3rd year abroad. And for that, we have established partnerships with all sorts of history departments across the world. This would be the equivalent of your 3rd year of your degree, and you come back to Leicester for your final year. And also, you can study abroad in the United States. If you do the History American Studies joint degree, then that year abroad in the United States counts towards your final degree. For all the others, it's just a pass-fail. But for our History American Studies students, where you get one of 32 American universities to choose from, that actually counts towards your final degree. Now, we have a very distinctive approach to the way that our history degree works. We go out of our way to support you to step up from A-level to university learning. There is no assumption that you will understand the differences, or that you won't need some support in shifting from school level history to university level. And our degree is structured specifically so that it balances the core and optional modules so that you can develop your skills and knowledge, but it's also, as I'll come to explain, specifically designed so that you can follow your interests through the degree. This is a kind of visual representation of what I mean by that. And in these 3 boxes on the right, you'll see what we offer in year 1, in year 2, and then in your final year. Everything that is in green is an option. Everything that is in blue is a core module. And the idea of the degree is like a pyramid. So in the first year, you'll see that we offer some fairly broad, wide-ranging modules on shock of the modern, which is the idea of modernity and the arrival of modernity, a European survey course, a US history one, medieval and modern Europe, modern Britain, and global history. Those 6 courses are designed to be big sweeping courses that basically are team taught by everybody in the school. So in the first year, you will see everything that we teach. You'll see all of our different approaches as colleagues in the school, and you'll get an understanding of what our specialisms are and how we teach those. Those are big courses then that involve a lot of people, and you'll be in large lectures, but for those you'll also have a small seminar for each of those where you come down into a group of about 15 or 16 people once a week to discuss in smaller groups what you've heard in the larger lectures. But at the same time, we have in each semester of the first year a small group teaching. So HS 1000 you have with your personal tutor in a group of perhaps 10, sometimes 8 students. And that is the course that helps you make that transition from A-level to university history. And in semester 2, you'll see people and places, which is an option that allows you in a really small group to focus really intently on one person or one place. It does exactly what it says. I, for example, have in the past taught a people and place on what it's like to be in the Ku Klux Klan. As an American civil rights historian, I find it very important that we understand why people joined the Klan and what they thought they were trying to do. That's actually the people and place that Fraser selected, so he may be able to talk to you about that afterwards if you're interested. The first year is just pass-fail. Those marks don't count towards your final degree, but what it does then is it gives you that option so that you know everything that we teach, or you know the full scope of what we teach from both geographically and in terms of time. We go all the way back to the medieval, and we go all the way through global history as well as British, European and the Americas. That means that when it comes to year 2, you'll see from this that you have 6 options. And I'll tell you, I can explain the kind of options we run in a moment. But the idea is that you will have got a sense of what history you enjoy from the first year, what kind of history you'd like to explore further. And then we would encourage you to explore those options in the second year and do the options that you really want to do. That's alongside one core module in each semester. Perceiving the Past is about the study of history and how and why we study it as we do, and then Becoming the Historical Researcher is about preparation for your final year dissertation. And you'll see from this that the final year is essentially entirely optional. it's not optional, you have to do it. It's entirely made up of options that you have chosen. So you'll have a dissertation project, which is a 10,000 word research project, which you carry out with one-to-one supervision with an academic. So I supervise, this semester I'm supervising 6 different dissertations, one-on-one with students on the subject of their choice. On the single honours history degree, you also do a special subject which runs for the whole year and is based on documentary source-driven history. And then you also will take 3 options which should draw from your interests. So it's kind of an inverse pyramid where we start you very broad at the start of year 1, and then as you get an understanding of what history you enjoy and what you want to you personally want to explore further, you can narrow down those through options. This is that first year structure that I've just talked about, where you take 4 different modules in each semester. And then here are some examples of recent examples of those second year options where you get to take 6 of these across the year. This is just a handful of those that we offer. And as you see, there's the time periods that I was talking about. We start with nobility in later medieval England, coming right up to the 21st century in the Fight the Power module, but also a geographical span, including the Soviet Union, China, and digital histories of Britain, for example. And then in the final year, of course, as I said, these are down to basically everything that you have decided interests you around history. Recent examples of final year options are on the screen now. We start with, in terms of times period, we start with the Anglo-Saxons and go all the way through again to the 21st century, the Vietnam War, making Nazis, or China, deviance, crime and gender in Britain, and the others that are up there on your screen. So there's a choice both in terms of time span and in terms of geographical focus. We also, of course, have a very personal approach. You'll find a combination of lecture, seminars and tutorials. So you'll have, wherever you have a large lecture, there'll also be the opportunity to work in smaller groups. And timetabled, you'll have about anywhere up to about 12 hours per week, with an extensive range of digital sources that you can use. And there are also practice-based modules in heritage and in teaching, history in the classroom, if you decide that you want to become a teacher once you've finished. Wide variety of assessments. So it's not just like in school where it seems as though you've got exam after exam after exam. We try and vary the assessments as much as possible. Podcasts, oral presentations, short essays, longer essays, article critiques, source critiques, position papers, a whole variety of different assessments that come into the degree. And this will breed skills in you, we hope, which are give you independence, give you research skills, analysis and evaluation skills, but also skills in communication and writing, and also in a global mindset, understanding what's going on beyond your own borders. Careers-wise, the benefit of those wide skills is it opens up so many different career opportunities, and those career opportunities include the heritage industries, management, finance, advertising, libraries, archives, recruitment, law, publishing. It really is the breadth of opportunity. Unlike a vocational degree where you're basically channeled into the subject that you've studied, the whole idea of a history degree is the extent of the skills it gives you, which can then be transferred across different workplaces. Recent graduate destinations you'll see here include Bank of America, also archivists, the civil servants, historians and philosophy teachers. So again, it's a range of different opportunities that are available to you. And it is that flexibility, I think, that the history degree gives you once you've graduated and are looking for something to do afterwards. And that comes through those skills that we help you to develop, which are on the left of the screen here: critical analysis, oral and written communication, team working, intellectual independence, problem solving, and self-motivation and self-reflection as well. You need to manage your own time a great deal on the history degree, which we help develop as a skill for you. Now, importantly, I guess from your perspective, are the offers. And our offer at the moment, we have contextualized offers which will come out as either ABB or 3Bs. Our ethos as a school about wanting this to be a place where you feel part of the community is key here, because the one piece of advice, if you leave today with only one piece of advice, it's what I'm about to give you now. So if you've been drifting off gently through this presentation, do hone in again now, because this is the bit that really matters, I think, probably at this stage to you. If on results day things don't go quite as well as you hope, don't just panic and despair. Pick up the phone and get in touch with us, because our ethos here is that if you think you fit in Leicester, and if you think that you really want to come to Leicester because of what we offer as a history degree, then we will bend over backwards to try and get you through that admissions process. So if you have just missed your offer, please don't despair. Get in touch with us and we'll try as hard as we can to make a case for you to come here, because what we really want in our university are students who really want to be here. It makes such a difference to the community that we build and the collegiality of the space that we inhabit. Okay, we have lifetime graduate support. Remember that this is one of the main drivers of the University of the Year award that I spoke about earlier, that we were given by a national newspaper, is because of the graduate prospects of our graduates. And just before we finish and I hand you over to hear from our student ambassadors, there's just one other thing that I want to leave you with. You may well have heard the phrase, your parents may well have talked to you about the phrase, that your school days are the best days of your life. I think originally that comes from Tom Brown's School Days. My view has always been that the people who say your school days were the best days of your life are people who never went to university, because university should be the best days of your life. That's not to say that there'll be one great holiday. That's not the point of what I'm trying to say at all. But you will make friends here who will stay with you for the rest of your life. You'll stretch yourself intellectually in ways that you'll find rewarding and hugely satisfying. You'll be supported by us in doing your best work. And you'll have opportunities that you will never have dreamt about, whether that is developing new skills on a year abroad, whether that means honing your skills doing a year in industry, whether that means joining the hang gliding society or studying a period or a place in history that you'd never even thought was as fascinating as it is when you start studying it. So we would very much hope, and I would expect, that you will find that university does become the best days of your life. If it doesn't, then there are support networks here to make sure that we get the very best out of your university time. That includes the personal tutoring system. Every single undergraduate has a personal tutor from the academic staff who will help you with any issues that you have and signpost you to all the different support networks that we have. That's the Accessibility Centre. We have a writing and learning skills support. We have drop-in hours. I'm in this office for 2 hours every week, and students can come and see me at any time. Students' Union, which also offers help, and the welfare service, and of course all the friendship groups and the peer assisted learning that you'll do as you go through the degree. That's probably what you expected roughly to hear from me. Don't just take it from me as an academic who works here. It's really important that you also hear from our students. So I'm going to hand over now to Fraser to start with. Just to give you a little bit of an idea about what it's like to study here as a student. I have no idea what Fraser's going to say, so it may surprise me as it does you, but Fraser, do you want to tell people your side of the story?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, George. I came here 2.5 years ago. I'm from the Cayman Islands originally. And so Leicester was definitely a bit of a culture shock, a very new experience for me. And, you know, I'm very happy to say that the university, the city, and the community itself really have been just amazing over the last, well, almost 2.5 years now. The history, I was always very interested in history, and that's sort of why I decided to do it at university. And the history department here has been incredibly helpful with sort of garnering that interest and expanding it as well. The On the academic side, I've done things from, like George mentioned, I've done Chinese history. My main focus has certainly been American history, and that has been a great experience. It's also what I'm going to be doing my dissertation on, which I hope is going very, very well. On the sort of social side, there is just an endless amount to do. I've done with the student union, I've done paintballing, I've done sort of rowing, and many a pub quiz. So that's also been a fantastic resource for everyone here. I especially agree with the sort of community aspect of Leicester. I think it's a really great sort of community, and I've made some fantastic friends here that I'm sure will continue to long after we're gone. So absolutely, I fully agree that this place is a fantastic place to study.
Thanks, Fraser. Is Christopher with us?
George, hello. As your producer, Vic, we're having technical problems with Christopher. So he is here, he is around, but we're having technical problems lining him up. So I don't think that Christopher's going to be able to join us, which is such a shame because he is here. So I wonder whether maybe it's a good opportunity if any of our attendees have got questions, please feel free to put them in the Q&A. Or maybe Fraser, I was wondering whether there's maybe anything that you can tell us about a kind of what's your day-to-day like, so things like what does a typical day look like for you in terms of like lectures, seminars, maybe just a few minutes on how that works for you, just to give anybody an opportunity to pop some questions in the chat.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, my typical day obviously starts very early in the morning, and I'm up. I typically have 2 or 3 lectures or seminars in the day. Usually, my lectures earlier on in the week and seminars later on. That's to sort of help with the balance of work that we have to do throughout any given week. The lectures tend to be sort of overviews of a particular topic for that week, and then we have assigned reading that we would do and discuss those in a 1 hour, 2 hour, and I actually, in fact, have a 3-hour seminar as well. Besides that, once uni's finished, then obviously it's off to the library for a few hours. And hopefully after that, either some sort of I play on a football team two evenings a week, sometimes 3. And besides that, at the moment, it's dissertation and writing. So that's really my exciting week now.
I mean, it sounds very exciting to me. Christopher has, because I said that Christopher is here, we just can't get him on screen with a technical issue, but he has sent over what he was kind of planning to talk to you about. So it's a very short little bit, but I thought maybe if I could just kind of say Christopher's thoughts at this point. So Christopher was going to tell us that he actually came through to the university through clearing, and at the time he said the only thing he knew about university was Richard III's skeleton being found in a car park, which is quite possibly known by a lot of people. And he said that since then he's had the opportunity to mould his degree to suit his interests. He's really enjoyed being able to explore American history, which he's particularly passionate about. And actually the degree so far has really helped him figure out the specific area of interest, the specific area of history that he's interested in. And he says that beyond his academics is involved in lots of other parts of university life, from being in the Christian Union to being a peer mentor. And he also managed to secure an internship during his first year. And he said that Leicester's really given him the chance to grow both academically and personally, and he's really grateful for that. So thank you to Christopher. Apologies that he's not with us. We haven't had any more questions come through on the chat, George. So, I mean, there's another couple of minutes, but otherwise, you know, quite happy for you to kind of wrap up and we'll go from there. I'll perhaps give you a shout if any questions come in last minute.
Okay. So I guess if I just reiterate what I think the headlines are about the degree. First, I would go back, and Fraser picked up on this too usefully, which is about the ethos of the school here. I've worked at a number of different universities before I came to Leicester 20 years ago, and that to me sits out as something that is very different about history here, which is the extraordinarily collegial atmosphere and the fact that we seek to build a community here with our own students. That's the reason, and certainly the ethos behind the way that we hire academics when we have jobs available. We want academics here who want to teach undergraduate students. So if you do come here, you will be the focus of what we're trying to do and to incorporate you into our learning community. The knock-on effect of that, I guess, is to come back to what I said about results day. For us, it's much more important that if you want to come to Leicester, we bend our backs to get you here to study with us at Leicester. I would much prefer that than someone who was trying for, I don't know, Princeton, missed that by a grade and tutted and sighed about being here instead because it's not Princeton. That's really not the ethos that we have. As I say, what we're really after are people who are coming here because of what they see about the place or because of what they see in the way that we structure our degree and the way that we encourage students to be part of our learning environment. You'll find, I hope, in that first year where we start with a really wide spread and we get team taught modules to get as many, I don't really like the phrase that we put academics in the shop front window, but you will be able to see all of us doing our own style of teaching on the topics that we research and love and want to teach about. You'll find that some of those topics are the history that you've already done at school. Some of it will be the topics that you studied at GCSE and that you studied at A-level. You may find that what you want to do is stick with those throughout your degree. So if you still feel after your A-levels that you've not had enough of Nazis, you can keep doing Nazis all the way through, for example. If you find, though, that you want to do something different, you've had enough of Nazis, there's this huge range of history that you're simply not able to do at school level that we would encourage you to explore in that first year when it's pass fail rather than anything that counts towards your final degree grades. So that gives you a chance to give it a go and see whether or not you are interested in those topics. Fraser talked about doing the history of China, for example. You know, these are topics that aren't easily done at school. Once you've done that, then just follow your interests. I mean, that's why we've structured the degree as we have. Find out what it is you enjoy doing at history and then just keep going and keep developing those skills. If that interest continues, choose that subject for your dissertation, write 10,000 words one-to-one with academic help on a subject that you really enjoy, that really stretches you intellectually and that you'll really get a lot out of. But if you do want to get in touch with us directly, then that email address is hyperadmissions, so HYPIR admissions, all in one word, all lowercase, at le.ac.uk.
Thank you very much for everybody's time. I'll let George and Fraser say goodbye, and then we can wrap off and people can get to their next sessions.
Okay. Thanks, folks. Thanks for coming along, for spending some of your late afternoon, early evening with us. And as I say, any questions that occur later on down the line, what the French call the mot d'escalier, the words that you suddenly remember on the stairs as you're leaving, just get in touch via that email address and we'll address them later.
And thank you very much to Fraser. Thank you, Fraser.
No problem at all. I wish everyone luck with their admissions and hopefully see you at Leicester.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Take care.